So we have this fabulous website, but no one can access it, right? We got to get it hosted and deployed somewhere so that people can come visit our site anytime that they want. And there's lots of different ways to do this. And in my beginning Django class, I show you how to do this with any old Linux server, but I'm going to show you how to do this via Heroku. Heroku is a platform as a service, meaning that they're going to do all the hosting, complicated bits. Really, you just got to submit your code to sort of their philosophy, and they're going to handle all the process of setting up a database and have a server running. And if they need to grow things, they can make that really easy. That's the whole purpose of Heroku, is to hopefully make your deployment simpler. Now, I do think it's simple. In my personal opinion, I really do like to do the Linux deployment, but I think Heroku also has some great bits here. So please enjoy learning how to deploy your project here with Heroku. Step number one for us is we need the Heroku command line interface. So just Google Heroku CLI, and you need to get to a link here where you can download it. So go ahead and whatever your platform is, go ahead and download that. Save that file and go ahead and run the install, all those good bits. Now, I have already done that on my own computer. And once you've done that, you need to go move into your terminal. So here I'm going to do a Control-C out of my project. And I'm going to say Heroku, and I want to do a login. It's to say, okay, I want to, log in with my new Heroku account. And it's going to say, I'm going to open up a browser, hit any key to do this. So you go ahead and say yes to this. And essentially what it does is it pops up a web browser. So to move forward at this point, you're going to need a Heroku account. And I believe this should be showing up. Here it is. It's going to bring up a screen like this that says, hey, you log in, and then you can do all your proper login stuff. And once you hit that login button, then you can come back here and it knows, okay, now I'm logged in with the proper username, all that good stuff. So with this in place, there's a couple of things that we're going to have to install via pipenv. So let's just go ahead and dive in. We're going to do a pipenv install, and we want Unicorn. That's what we're going to do to run our server in production. And we also want to get psycopg2-binary. So that's what's going to allow us to run our code via Django's database, or Heroku's database, which is going to be a Postgres database, and that's what all that code is for. So we'll go ahead and let that roll and do its thing. The next step for us is that whenever we deploy things via Heroku, it all happens through Git. And if you've never worked with Git before, it's kind of outside of the scope of this course, but essentially it's a way to manage source code for your project and also sort of keep things organized. So if you have Git installed on your computer, if not, go ahead and run through an installation process. But let's turn our project here into a Git repository by doing a Git init. Okay, you can see that initializes a Git repository for us. And let's go ahead and add all the files that we have up to this point. So I'm going to do a git add -A to add everything. And I'll do a git commit. And I'll just say something like first one. So the basic idea with Git is that anytime that you make any changes to a file, you're going to then have a change, and you can add those changes via a git add, and then you have to commit those changes with some sort of message. That's what that -M is for. Again, there's so much more to learn about Git than that, but that's sort of it in a nutshell for what we're trying to accomplish. So with this in place, the next thing that we need to do is we need to set up our project to then work with Heroku so that we can deploy it. So we're going to just type in here Heroku, create. Again, this is using that command line interface that we download, the CLI. And you can see this creates a new project essentially for us. It makes some sort of random name, like this one is Warm Everglades. They always have sort of interesting ones there. But once you have that in place, that's now like the new name for this project here. It's actually edited our Git repository so that we can say git push Heroku master. And if we do this, it's actually going to send our code up to Heroku. And as this is the whole flow, is that whenever you push your code to Heroku, it's going to do everything to start getting things up and running into the way that you would like them to be. So you can see like it's saying, all right, it looks like it's a Python app. We're going to use 3.7.2 here. We're going to install the different pip dependencies. So it found our pip file that we had. That's pretty cool that it was able to use that for us. You can see it's installing SQLite 3 because we haven't specified another database. We'll talk about that here in a second, how we're going to change that. It does all the collecting of static for us. That's all going forward. And you can see it's out here doing its thing. So we'll give this a second to keep going here. And look, it's given us a URL where we can actually go and check this out. It's this HTTPS whatever. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this. I'm going to give it a second just to finish there. But let's go back over to our browser and just paste this in and see what we get. So you can see we have an application error. Like, not everything's working here. This is, you know, sort of our starting point, but it's really cool that you can actually see the errors that are happening on Heroku. So if you go ahead and just copy this, come back and paste that in, you do Heroku logs -- tail, you can see what the errors were, and you can see, okay, we've got no web process running here when someone tried to come to the home page and whatnot, and there's all sorts of issues that are going on here. But it is nice to know with Heroku, if you're having problems, that you can always come back and refer to this. So let's go ahead and do a Control-C out of this. The next step for us is we want to be able to use the database that Heroku has for us that is going to be a little bit better than SQLite 3. Like, it's not really made for prime time. And so we're going to go ahead and install one more thing via pipenv. So we're going to say pipenv install. And the thing that we want to install is dj-database-url. Okay, so go ahead and let that run. We're also going to have to make some changes to our settings. So let's go ahead and move over to our settings.py. Okay, inside of here, we're going to import what we had just installed. So we're going to say import dj underscore, then we want database underscore URL. Excellent. Then with that in place, this is pretty awesome. If we come back down to where our database is, we can replace all of this to say the default database is simply just going to be dj underscore database underscore URL dot config, and with the open and close parentheses. And really, that's it for getting our database up and running here, which is pretty cool. So we have that portion done. The next thing that we need to do is, now that we're moving into production, we want to make debug equal to false, right? Because we're saying, hey, this is prime time. We're ready to rock and roll with all this good stuff. Now, the next thing that we're going to need here is we've got to specify how it is that we want the storage to be handled here. And this is yet another thing that we have to do with pipenv. So we're going to do pipenv install, and this time we're looking for white noise. This is a special package that Heroku uses to host and serve the static files to us. So again, we're going to go back to our settings here, and inside of our settings.py, we're going to scroll all the way down to the bottom here, and we're going to add a new variable. It's going to be all caps static files underscore storage, and we're going to have this be equal to, and we want this to be, this is a bit of a long one, so stay with me here, white noise dot storage dot capital compressed manifest static capital files capital storage. Okay, so we've got that in place. The next thing that we need to do is we need to move up to where our middleware classes are. Okay, and we're going to add a new one here, and this is going to be white noise dot middleware, okay, dot capital white capital noise capital middleware. Okay, so with all these changes, we're going to save that. We're going to come back to our command line here. We're going to do a git add dash capital A. Remember, so this adds all our changes. If you want to see what's been changed, if you do a get status, you can see, oh, okay, we've edited our pip file, the pip file lock, and then also the settings, right? Because of our pip install, all that good stuff. So with this, let's commit it. So we'll say git commit -m, and we want to provide some sort of message here. Well, maybe we'll say database and settings. Okay, and we'll commit that, and then let's go ahead and push this live here. So we'll go ahead and just do our get push Heroku master. There it is. And now it's going to go through its whole process. So I'll go ahead and stop the video here, and the next one will pick up with where we need to go, but this will take a little bit of time, and this is probably a good breaking point. We've done enough up to this point.